NFL free agency starts on Monday, and we're here in the studio on a Sunday, breaking down all of the latest Niners news and rumors. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. My name is Chase Sr., and there's a lot to get to here today. I appreciate all of you for hanging out here and joining me. According to a report, the 49ers are interested in trading for Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter. I have a lot of thoughts on that. I've really liked Romeo Doubs throughout this free agency process, and obviously prior to that, with what he's done with the Green Bay Packers, Niners need to rebuild that wide receiver room, and they're expected to pursue Romeo Doubs. Also, the clock is ticking for the 49ers and Trent Williams. Will they get a deal done? Will the Niners release one of the top offensive tackles of all time? Will they trade him? We'll talk about that as well. Before we get to all of that, an exciting announcement. I don't know if you saw the news the other day, but I've been plugging this on the show over the last couple of days because on Friday night, I launched a new NFL channel. Now, nothing is changing here on the 49ers Report, but I've always wanted to talk about the NFL and college football at a national level, on a national scale. This platform allows me to do this, and this channel is going to be under the Chat Sports umbrella. I launched this channel late on Friday night, so I want to get to 1,000 subscribers in under 48 hours, one of the fastest channels in the history of Chat Sports to get there. And if you just want more NFL content and coverage from yours truly, hit that subscribe button on the chase down. I'm going to put the sub link as the pinned comment of today's 49ers Report, and episode 2 is going to drop. Episode number 1, I talked about the Max Crosby trade. I appreciate your support, and let's go. This is juicy, and this would be a bold move for the San Francisco 49ers, but sneakily, I think it's the type of move that I would love for the Niners to make. Could the 49ers make a blockbuster trade for one of the best defensive players in the NFL in Jalen Carter, a player who's great, but also polarizing? According to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, teams are calling the Eagles about Jalen Carter's availability. He did not list the Niners as a team who had called Philadelphia, but according to multiple reports, the Niners are looked at and have been named as one of the teams who are interested in trading for Carter. Could John Lynch hop on the phone with Howie Roseman, and could they work a deal out? The other reported teams interested in JC, Green Bay Packers, Chicago Bears, the Seattle Seahawks. Can you imagine Jalen Carter on that defensive line under Mike McDonald, and the Las Vegas Raiders? I know a lot of you are probably wondering, you're probably asking yourselves, you're probably yelling at your TV right now saying, Chase, what are you talking about? Why would the Eagles make a move like this? You look at Howie Roseman, right? He's acquired and drafted some great players over the years. He and John Schneider are probably the two best general managers in the sport. Howie Roseman's been to 3 Super Bowls since 2017. The Eagles have won 2 Lombardi trophies. Jalen Carter is a pillar of that Eagles defense. What I think all of this means, and I can hit on this on a couple of fronts, I think teams right now are calling the Eagles about the availability of Jalen Carter because they're wondering if the Eagles are going to budget for paying Carter after yesterday they gave their other defensive tackle, Jordan Davis, $26 million per year, more than $60 million in guaranteed money. And so it's very rare for teams across the NFL to pay 2 defensive tackles nearly $60 million in AAV. And like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter is up for a contract extension. Philadelphia, if they don't look at Carter as being a part of their plans in the future, could want to build around Jordan Davis, who they re-signed to a contract extension, and Moro Ajomo, who's a fantastic player. There's also no rush for Philadelphia to extend Jalen Carter. If they exercise his 5th-year option because they drafted him 9th overall in 2023, he'd be under team control for the next 2 years. But if you do exercise that 5th-year option, his contract for 2027 would be guaranteed, and it's elevated because he was named an All-Pro 2 seasons ago in 2024. From the player and his representation point of view, Jalen Carter, his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, they could prefer, coming off a down year in which Jalen Carter had bilateral shoulder issues, to wait to sign a contract extension. Because if Carter plays in 2026, like he did in 2024, he could set the record for being the highest paid defensive tackle in NFL history and overtake Chris Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs at that number of 31.75. Or there's something concerning and fishy going on here because coming out of Georgia, Jalen Carter did have some character concerns. For the Eagles, could they look to move on from Jalen Carter? Because there are tough decisions coming up for Howie Roseman for some of their young defensive players. I know that the NFL salary cap has continued to increase, and it's going to continue to increase because football isn't going anywhere. The business model is thriving right now. But for the Eagles, I don't know how it's possible to pay Jordan Davis $26 million, Jalen Carter $30+ million, Quinyon Mitchell $30+ million. He'll be extension eligible after next year. Cooper DeJean $25+ million, and AJ Brown is making $32 million. So I think at some point, somebody big for Philadelphia is getting moved. And the Eagles also really like a couple of their bookend pass rushers at the edge spot, Jalen Hunt and Nolan Smith. So this Eagles defense is about to be expensive. Philadelphia's going to have to hit on a lot of offensive draft picks, and a player like Jalen Carter could be made available. Should the Niners show interest in Jalen Carter? Let's talk about that. I think the easy answer is yes for San Francisco. This is a 49ers defense that needs to usher in a little bit of a new era. Fred Warner's still in his prime, but he's getting older. Nick Bosa coming off his third ACL surgery, getting a little bit older. It's been somewhat disappointing since that big contract extension. But the 49ers desperately need to get better up front, and the 49ers need to drastically improve their pass rush, which last year finished dead last among the 32 teams in the NFL in sack production. And the 49ers on the roster right now don't have an interior defensive lineman who can consistently get after the quarterback, and that is the strength of Jalen Carter. I like Alfred Collins and CJ West as players. They're nowhere near in the same neighborhood as Jalen Carter as a player right now. Jalen Carter is one of the most disruptive players in football. He is a needle mover. His impact is felt by what he does, but he opens up opportunities for others. And Carter is a foundational piece and building block of a defense, and you can build your entire defense around a player of that caliber. And lastly, I'm tired of the Niners having all these nice guys. I know that the Niners value culture. I know that the Niners value character, and I believe in those things too. Since coming out of Georgia, there hasn't really been any chatter about Jalen Carter causing problems. He hasn't gotten in trouble. But what he brings the defense on the field is a guy with swagger, physicality, and he is mean, and he is willing to beat up his assignment, the opposing offensive lineman, without any worries. And that type of mentality is something that I think this Niners defense needs to get back to, because over the last couple of years, they've been a little bit too soft. And Jalen Carter is one of the best young players in football. In 2025, dealt with 2 shoulder issues, and his numbers dropped a little bit. And when you look at the PFF numbers, they weren't great. Overall PFF grade 60.1. That was 58th at the defensive tackle spot. A pass rush grade of 78.8. That was still 9th. Run defense grade of 41.2. That's never been his strength, but he does draw a lot of holding penalties. But even though he missed some time, he still had 30 hurries. That was 17th in the league. And he had 41 pressures and 6 passes defended, which ranked 2nd in the NFL at that defensive tackle spot. When he was an All-Pro in 2024, this season was a year where everybody was like, he could be the next Aaron Donald. Overall grade was 18th among 132 defensive tackles. His pass rush grade, 81.5, was 7th. His run defense grade, 44th. He forced 2 fumbles. That was first at the position. He had 27 stops. That ranked 19th. 5 sacks, 23rd. 36 hurries, 9th. 12 quarterback hits, 8th. 53 pressures, 9th. And he batted down 6 passes. That is a big part of his game. That ranks 2nd. If you keep Jalen Carter in line, if you keep him from getting into trouble, he's an absolute dog, and he's one of the most violent football players in the National Football League. That's what the Niners need on the defensive side of the ball. somebody who is going to kick your ass and take names. And over the last few seasons, they haven't had guys like that along the defensive line. So I put together this trade idea, and it's certainly a rich one, right? How about the Eagles receive Nick Bosa and the Niners' 27th overall pick in the first round? Niners get Jalen Carter and a 2027 third-round pick. Maybe the Niners would like to receive something else, but a player like Bosa is coming off his third ACL surgery. Jalen Carter is 24, about to be 25. If Micah Parsons at 26 and Max Crosby, soon to be 29, can fetch 2 first-round picks, I think Jalen Carter is worth 2 first-round picks as well. And the casuals who don't know his game, study up. So who wins that trade? Eagles, Niners. PHI for Philadelphia, SF for San Francisco. Let me know down in the comment section. Now, St. Patrick's Day is coming up on Tuesday. Some of you might be out for that, but many of you will be on a bar crawl. Many of you will be going from bar to bar, drinking heavily to celebrate St. Patrick's Day on Saturday. Do you want some gear to look good, feel good prior to St. Patty's Day? Well, you can get our Chat Sports St. Patrick's Day merchandise available right now, and you can become a member of the Bay Area drinking team. We have sold a lot of these shirts. You can get it in green or black. It's also a conversation starter at chatsports.com/NinersGreen. We also have Beers hats available as well if you want to pair those shirts with a hat at chatsports.com/Beers. And you can wear this every year for St. Patrick's Day as you'll be looking good. Multiple colors available there. I know a lot of you might be saying, Chase, I'm going to be going out on Saturday. Will these items ship to me? They will. And we are giving you a deal as far as the shipping. Select the drop down when you use that link down below. And express shipping, we are taking it down from $9 to $5. Use that link down below. Get ready for St. Patrick's Day. I hope you have a lot of fun and you rep and support Chat Sports. All right, the 49ers expected to show interest in Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs. There's some chatter that it's like the worst kept secret across the NFL that Romeo Doubs is going to sign with the Niners. Played under Matt LaFleur, good scheme fit for Kyle Shanahan. I think Brock Purdy can bring the best out of him. I think his best football's ahead of him if he can stay healthy. Diverse route tree. He can create after the catch. And do I think he's a bona fide number one? I don't, but in this offense, I don't think you need a bona fide number one. And I don't think he's going to be as expensive as Alec Pierce. Jeremy Fowler, with this report, the Packers wide receiver Romeo Doubs plans to hit the market. He will, because him and the Packers, by the way, did not come to an agreement on a contract extension. Talks with Green Bay did not result in a deal, so he'll have several suitors. The Patriots, Commanders, and Titans are closely watching his market along with the 49ers. Doubs is considered by some evaluators to be the best all-around wide receiver in the group. So you think about Romeo Doubs. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He runs in the high 4.4s. Very diverse route tree. Alec Pierce is big, physical, has speed as well. Both these players haven't had like crazy production. For Pierce, he hasn't had good quarterback play. For Doubs, he's been around a lot of players who have demanded the football. So you look at his numbers in his career so far, he's never gone over 724 yards, but for me, this is a player that easily passes the eye test. I think he's a really, really good player who could thrive and flourish with San Francisco. Of course, it all comes down to the asking price. As for Trent Williams, time is ticking here. The Niners need to figure out going into free agency, going into the draft, if Trent Williams is going to be a part of the team in 2026 or not. And he can't play on that cap number at 38 years old of nearly $39 million. So the Niners and Trent Williams need to hash something out to lower that number a little bit, or they have to figure out whether or not they want to move on from one of the best players in the history of football. Here's what Jeremy Fowler said on the Trent Williams front, that the clock is ticking on Trent, whose $38 million cap hit is a challenge. San Francisco must make a decision, and teams are wondering whether he'll be available. As a result, common sense says San Francisco will try to work something out with the 12-time Pro Bowler. And I'm fascinated to see what happens. I know John Lynch at the NFL Combine, when we spoke to him, said, I'm confident that we can work out a deal. But Trent Williams is a player, even though he's going to be 38 years old this year, if the Niners were to trade him away, I do think that they can get some really good draft picks back. and then you draft an offensive tackle probably in the first round at 27? Or do you pair 27 and a pick that you get back for Trent Williams to move up to get an offensive tackle who you really like? Either way, offensive tackle, wide receiver, 2 positions early, I think the Niners need to address in the draft. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Free agency beginning on Monday. We're going to be live here on the 49ers Report. Anytime the Niners make a move, going to talk about it right here on the show, so don't miss out.